Hello and welcome to the History Department at Beacon Academy. I'm Mrs. Kennedy, I'm the Head of History at Beacon, and I also teach politics as well at A-level. So in history you'll have 10 lessons a fortnight. What that means is you'll have 2 teachers teaching you 2 different modules throughout Year 12, and then a further 2 teachers in Year 13 teaching you 1 module and coursework as well. So the specification that we follow is EdXL Route F. That means that in Year 12 you will learn about In Search of the American Dream, which is a focus on the USA, and an India module which looks at the road to independence. I currently teach the USA module, and you can see that there are 5 different parts to the unit. Let's look at them in a little bit more depth. Hello, I'm Mrs. Kennedy and I'm the Head of History here at Beacon Academy, and I teach the Year 12 America unit. What I really love about this unit is the focus on the presidents and their different policies. It puts that into context by looking at the time that they're living in. So for example, looks at the Cold War, Vietnam War and also Korea, and then really moves on to focusing on specific policies as well. So the second unit looks at civil rights, which is so important in today's society when we're living through the Black Lives Matter movement. The final modules really look at culture in America and how that's developed and the impact that has on politics, as well as looking at the role the media has as well in increasing or decreasing public confidence in the presidency. It then ends off looking at a case study actually of Reagan in particular, and what I love about that section is that we get to read historians' work and really debate whether we agree or disagree with them and formulate our own opinions. The next module you do that runs alongside the USA course is India 1914 to 48. That is currently taught by Mr. Ingham in Year 12. It has 4 modules, as you can see on the board, but Mr. Ingham is just going to talk to you a little bit more about the course.
We look at the Indian road to independence in Year 12, and it's an amazing story. It goes from World War I and then the Amritsar massacre, right the way through the rise of Gandhi, Nehru and Jinnah, up to where India not only divides and gets its independence, but it's the biggest movement of people in human history. Over 1 million people are slaughtered during Indian partition. And this happened on Britain's watch. That's why it's really important that all British students find out what happened in the British Empire. It's an astonishing story. You'll be really, really interested in it.
In Year 13, you complete a 3rd paper, which focuses on the rise and fall of the British Empire, and you also complete coursework. Currently, our teachers are Mrs. Horrell and Miss Dennison, and Miss Dennison is just going to talk to you a little bit further about the British Empire unit.
My name is Miss Dennison and I teach A-level history. Now the British Empire unit is my favourite unit of the A-level course. I've really learned so much and I really enjoy reading about history. 1763 is a significant date because the French were defeated in the 7 Years' War. It meant that American possessions were lost and they went to Britain. It also meant that the British lost a lot of money. The war was very expensive. However, the British Empire survived and grew in this period because of trade and the growth of the Royal Navy. And at the beginning of the 20th century, so the end of the period, the empire covered nearly 11.5 million square miles of territory, and it was the largest empire the world had ever known. So this unit is full of fascinating stories and debates. It is really controversial, and we encourage you to read historians' interpretations and to develop your own interpretations based on historical evidence. We study the loss of the American colonies and how mistakes were made in what became the USA were then not repeated in Canada. We see how the colony of Australia developed from being a penal colony right at the beginning. In India, which you study in Year 12, the British lost their empire. And in the 19th century, they nearly lost that empire. We explore the causes and consequences of the Indian Rebellion. And at the end of the 19th century, we focus on the Nile and geopolitics and the scramble for Africa. The course is examined with 3 essays, and as a department we will provide you lots of support in writing and developing your essay writing skills. The British Empire has had a huge influence on the world that we live in, and studying it helps us to understand the world. It's really enjoyable.
So how will you be assessed in history? Ultimately, you'll have 3 exams at the end of year 13. The USA in the Empire module is 2 hours and 15 minutes, which includes 3 exam questions. And then the India unit is 90-minute exam with 2 exam questions. All of those exam questions are 20-mark essays, and those essays should take you roughly 45 minutes in exam conditions. We will give you plenty of practice throughout the year, completing roughly 1 essay per term per module. And we'll also do regular subject knowledge quizzes as well to check on your knowledge and so that you can receive consistent feedback throughout your 2 years. Now let's hear from some of our current Year 12s and what they think of the course.
Hi, I'm Teddy Harvey and I chose history for one of my A-level subjects. I chose history because I find it to be a really interesting subject. I really enjoyed the content at GCSE level with Nazi Germany and the Anglo-Saxons, and I thought I'd choose it for A-level. The A-level content is British India and the American Dream, and particularly I really enjoy the American Dream because I have aspirations to do something in US politics in the future, maybe university or work there. Another one of the important things to consider is how they work with other subjects that you've chosen. For example, I do politics as well as history, and those 2 subjects work very well together, and they make for a very good choice of subjects.
I'm Isabel and I am taking A-level history. I really love the context and all the lessons at GCSE, so I decided to take it at A-level. The humanities section of it is really good because it goes with any subjects that you want to take. It goes with science or another humanities. The context, I especially love the American side of it, learning about the presidents and the Great Depression. It's very interesting and I definitely recommend it.
So I'm Oscar Whittle and I picked History A-level. Firstly, because I just really enjoyed the GCSE course. I loved all aspects of it, and even when I didn't enjoy the actual content to the most fullest extent, I really enjoyed the whole process of it, the writing of the essays and so on. And with A-level, you really take all aspects of this to another degree, and that's firstly the reason why I picked it. When I was picking my A-levels, something that I wanted to consider firstly was whether I enjoyed the subject, and of course I love history. The other thing I wanted to consider was how well respected the course was, and of course history is an incredibly well respected course to get into university or to further education of any extent, and those are really important to me. I really enjoy the aspect of the course that insofar that it's much more wide, it's more broad, it's not quite as limiting as it was at GCSE, because GCSE is quite a prescribed way of talking about things and writing about things, whereas at A-level it's not quite as restrictive.
So in terms of an equipment list, you require 1 textbook, which you can see clearly. That can be bought from lots of different places, including Amazon, so I've put a link on the screen for you. In terms of your organisation, and this is really key in history, you will need to buy 3 ring binders, preferably lever arch, which are the large ones for history, 1 for each side of the course, and it would be good to have 1 for revision and essay folder as well, so that you can track that progress that you're making. You will also need dividers for your folders to make sure that you're organising it into the different sections of the course for both India and America, and highlighters as well, which are useful for source analysis. Finally, you're going to need a range of coloured pens, because we like to colour code through the different themes of the course as well. I hope you found this informative, and please do feel free to get in contact if you have any further questions.